Hello, it's Sue and Spay, and we are back with another video. What are we doing today?
Hey, so a lot has been going on the past week. For those of you who have been living under a rock, South Africa has taken Israel to the International Court of Justice, for genocidal intent. We just wanted to give our 2 cents on it and how we feel, our opinions about all of this that's been happening. So, just to summarize everything that's been happening, South Africa decided to take Israel to the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, for genocidal intent.
Yes.
South Africa feel like Israel is intending to commit genocide on Palestine and Palestinian people.
And wipe out basically Palestinians.
Basically wipe out Palestine. That happened this past week. South Africa presented their case.
Yes.
And then Israel also rebutted and presented their defense of South Africa's case.
Yes.
I will put up videos of summarizing South Africa's case.
Both.
South Africa's case and Israel's case. And then you guys can also input in the comment section on what you think about both the cases.
So first of all, why is South Africa doing this? According to the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Genocide, any state party to this convention has the right and the responsibility to call out any genocide if it sees one unfolding. South Africa has made use of a specific course in the convention that allows countries to request the court to order provisional measures pending the final ruling. And the reason that they took this course is because of the gravity and urgency of the situation in Gaza right now. So to quickly go through these provisional measures, which are South Africa's immediate goals out of these proceedings, they are for Israel to immediately suspend all military operations in Gaza, to allow the entry of aid in its various forms, not to allow for any incitement of genocide, not to allow the destruction of any evidence that relate to this case, and not to do anything to aggravate or extend the dispute in a way that might make it harder for the court to come up with a final ruling. So what South Africa is currently trying to achieve is a ruling that legally binds Israel to ceasing and desisting. But as you might know, legally binding does not equal enforceable, which means that even if the court does rule in favor of these provisional measures, Israel might well still ignore them. So what happened yesterday in the first session? The lawyers that were there representing South Africa laid out the accusations with great skill, abundant clarity, and ample evidence for each accusation, demonstrating the width and the breadth of these genocidal acts and providing concrete evidence for intent. They started off by laying out the facts on the ground and the relevant background, and then they went right ahead into delving into the specific acts that Israel committed that it considers to be genocidal. So this obviously starts with the actual killing of the Palestinians in Gaza, but it also delves into how Israel has inflicted mental and bodily harm on these people, how it has expelled them forcibly from their homes and displaced them, designating safe areas, but not keeping them remotely safe, as a matter of fact, bombing them, depriving them of essential needs such as food and medicine and shelter, destroying much of the Gaza Strip and anything that enables life in it, and finally imposing measures that prevent births within this group, which is Palestinians of Gaza. Note that each of these points came with very concrete examples and statistics. After that, they went on to lay out expressions of genocidal intent from officials within the Israeli government and the Israeli military. So this starts with the highest positions, obviously including Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and Isaac Herzog, the President of Israel. And they also included a number of cabinet members, a number of Knesset members, which is the Israeli parliament, and of course, a number of military leaders. But they also made sure to show how these expressions were taken up by foot soldiers on the ground as they applied these expressions and these orders. And they also made sure to show how these expressions were taken up by public figures that are influential in Israeli society. Finally, the team of lawyers representing South Africa pointed out the many times a variety of states and organizations, including South Africa itself, of course, sounded the alarm on Israel's genocidal intent and tried to urge Israel to stop before ultimately resorting to the ICJ.
So Israel spent the day defending themselves against the accusations brought forward by South Africa, and here's the summary. Now, the first point made by Dr. Tal Becker in the Israeli defense was that Israel has the right to defend itself. Becker also stated that South Africa should have some provisional measures put against them for their support and close ties with the Chickpea fighters. They're saying that South Africa is the legal wing for the Chickpea fighters. That's their defense. Then the disgraced Malcolm Shaw decided to present his case. The only issue is he lost his papers and then proceeded to blame. Anyway, the rest of his argument was already dispelled because yesterday South Africa already made the arguments against the point he made and they showed evidence. He just said it. Then we have Galit Raguin, who decides to make the point that apparently Israel has not bombed a single hospital. Evidence including very hard-to-reach weapons that were behind several screws inside of an incubator that, you know, the Chickpea fighters left in the hospital just in case they really needed to use it. As well as weapons left behind an MRI machine. She also used screenshots from that supposedly uncut Israeli, now deleted video. The next bastard is Chris Staker, who has a history of defending genocidal states. Now, his main points were the ICJ didn't stop Bosnia from committing their crimes, so they shouldn't stop Israel, and also Israel helps facilitate humanitarian aid. And then it ended with Gillian Noam saying that, well, Israel considers Hamas to be a terrorist entity, hence they can do whatever they want. With Malcolm Shaw, the Israeli defense lawyer, saying that the actions of the soldiers who filmed themselves committing certain acts are their actions alone and do not represent Israel.
Let's just start off with South Africa's case. How did you feel about it?
I won't lie, like, I felt really proud. To us, what we're seeing is basically something that reminds us of what we're coming from. Like, being, a country that comes from, who suffered an apartheid regime. And literally from clips to whatever we're seeing, kind of shows us that's exactly what Palestine is going through with the whole conflict with Israel, right? And that's why I would say I was very proud that South Africa actually took a stand. It's like it's good that somebody will actually step forward and take the initiative of actually putting a stop to like so many mass deaths.
One of the main things that people were like crying about is like why it had to be South Africa when there are other Arab nations literally surrounding those two states. They could have taken action against Israel, but no, it had to be South Africa, a country that's all the way on the other side of the world. And South Africans also feel like, why is South Africa standing up for Israel and using state resources to go and basically persecute Israel?
Because sometimes like two people that are like, there's two people and they're fighting, you know? Like, you're not gonna see your wrong and the other one's not gonna see their wrong, and sometimes it's the outside party that may see that they're wrong. A lot of Arab nations have been going through similar situations with Western countries, and like now they've just adopted the whole defend your country. I'm thinking like that's why they've gotten to the extremes of, you know, the terrorism and things like that. But I feel like South Africa is kind of away from the whole situation of like Muslim versus Jew and all of that. Like, it's a neutral sort of party that is literally just talking on human rights, on the human rights perspective. And I feel like we are in a good position to do that because we have also suffered our own fair share of issues with human rights. As things stand now, we are seeing people dying in masses. Right? And we want to stop that. And yes, there's also the fact that we understand that Israel is getting aid, you know, from the West. And because of that, they are able to do more damage. So I really want to put us like where we are at. Like, hey, we're not saying that we are choosing sides or whatever in terms of what the argument is about. But we are standing against hey, these people of Palestine, right, have nothing to do with what you guys are fighting about. You know what I'm saying? They probably don't even want to fight. In fact, they don't want to fight, you know? But now you saying that you have a problem with Hamas, but it's not Hamas that's dying every day. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the ordinary Palestinian, and we are talking for those people. We are speaking for that person who has no voice right now, who has no hope. Like, is this ever gonna end? Am I just gonna be losing my family every single day? The world is watching. Why is nobody doing anything? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we are just restoring hope to that person.
So in terms of the case itself, like, South Africa presented a very compelling and strong case.
Yes.
Video and photographic evidence of all the points that they presented, and that was received well by the world at large. They made a lot of like points and rebuttals to potential points that Israel could make in their defense, such as
self-defense,
the self-defense, and such as the ministers outwardly saying that they want to commit genocide, they want to kill everybody in Palestine, all that stuff like that. And then it was a strong, solid case. And then in terms of like for Israel, Israel's defense, people didn't receive it very well. It was very technically driven. Like they were looking for the technical loopholes, and also they didn't address most of the points that South Africa was making.
Yes, absolutely. And they were arguing South Africa. Like, I saw a lot of people also saying this, and that's very true.
That was like the main disadvantage for Israel, that they were trying to get off on technicalities. They brought up jurisdiction, if the court is even allowed.
Oh my gosh.
To
and then they tried to pull the anti-Semitism card as well. Like, they wanted to go the emotional angle, right? Like, emotional abuse angle, like the manipulative tactics. And unfortunately, I don't think they knew that we're gonna bring such a solid case. They probably thought that we were just gonna be bringing things of hearsay and whatever, how they kind of did, like just show up there and say, yo, this and this. We came with we're saying this, we're saying you did this, right? Here's the evidence. What do you say about it? There's no response to that.
It even went to as far as like them like outward lying about certain things. Like, one of them brought up the point that they actually never bombed a hospital before.
Imagine.
Even though there's
footage of them bombing a hospital
and attacking hospitals and stuff like that. And it wasn't that good, but they made some good points. With
the only point
that I felt that was good was that, I mean, if the court rules for them to cease fire and stop their military operation, right? How are they going to defend themselves? Because Hamas will not be held to the same standard. They're a terrorist organization.
Yes.
They don't care about international laws or anything like that. It's a very good point.
It's a valid
Even when I
point.
thought about it, I was like, shit.
I know, I also started trying to answer that. I really started trying to answer that. But at the end of the day, like, their defense kind of infringes on the well-being of a lot of people. Do you know what I'm saying? That have nothing to do with the situation. So that's why in no case can it be justified.
So Israel is hinging their whole case on, okay, they attacked us first.
Yes.
So now we're defending ourselves, which is okay. It's an okay. But now their method of doing that is what people are crying about. Like, the way that you're going about doing this is what's wrong.
Absolutely.
Right? Kids are dying. Like, thousands of kids are dying, and a lot of women are dying. I feel like the courts have a very difficult decision to make because Israel presented their defense, and based on a couple of their points, the court can rule for them and against South Africa. But also based on South Africa's case, which is very strong, it will look very biased and discredit the court itself if they rule against South Africa.
And I think they also know the weight of it internationally.
Yes. So the court has a very difficult decision to make. In their best interest, I think it will be better if they found like some sort of middle ground. Like meet some of South Africa's demands, but not all of them, and also allow Israel to continue their military operation, because that's their main point, is that if you stop military operation, then this court is doing too much. You can't just tell a nation to stop their military operation mid-war. You know, you can't just tell them to do that mid-war, because there's repercussions for that. Like the other side could aggressively attack them back, and they can't defend themselves at all. So they have to meet, like, I think the best solution.
You sleeping there, relaxing, and then.
I think like the best situation is like to find like some sort of middle ground. Yeah, you can continue a military operation, but you need to change the way you move. I think that's the best solution. Because if they just say we motion to dismiss SA and then they dismiss SA entirely, then
that's gonna open another can of worms on its own, and it's gonna justify a lot of bad things as well.
So the court can lose credibility if they make the wrong decision, and then people will not take this court seriously anymore. Because this is how big this case is.
It's
this
big.
case can make or break the court.
They need to sleep on it a couple of times. So they mad because we are saying, oh, so you guys are just being the legal arm of Hamas. So basically, Hamas can justify their acts now because of our stance.
Just shaming tactics. Like, one of the opening statements is that they wanted to put on record that South Africa has close relations with Hamas.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I was like, nigga, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, we don't even know them niggas like that. But okay, cool. They used a lot of shaming tactics. They used a lot of guilt tripping.
To discredit us. And just like also how Western media didn't play our side. They just played Israel's defense.
So that's the next point I wanted to bring up, is that
a lot of people didn't even know about it.
You could see the biases, like in terms of like the West.
Clear biases.
They didn't cover like South Africa's case
at all.
Presentation at all. Like, it was just media silence from the biggest media outlets in the world, in Britain and in the US.
Like, if it wasn't for social media, let's be honest.
So the funny thing with all of this happening now is that because the Western media did not broadcast South Africa's case, some celebrities have come out and have used their platforms to read out.
Really? That's beautiful.
2 actors that have come from the most popular show ever, which is Game of Thrones.
Ooh,
2 of these big actors have come out on their platform, and they started reading like South Africa's case to their audience, because the Western media tried to silence
They were silencing it.
Well, if you didn't know already, this whole situation will tell you that Western media has like a certain bias, and they spew propaganda, and they mute out certain points. They mute out certain viewpoints. They would
have rather brought back conversations about COVID-19 and its link to HIV than play this.
Yeah, so there's too much bias in like traditional media. So social media has been the best source of news.
Absolutely, this because it's from people on the ground.
And it's news that happens while things are happening.
While things are happening,
people be tweeting while.
So you can spew whatever you want to spew, but we got the first-hand footage. We got the first-hand, you know what I'm saying, from the horse's mouth. And
so that's one of the things that happened. That Western media has shown who they support, and they've shown their biases, and the people are trying to keep everybody informed as much as possible online, give them as much information as possible to make their decision. And then what literally happened in the process as well is that the United States and United Kingdom have joined forces to
bomb
Yemen for trying to restrict supplies to Israel over the Red Sea. This is literally all happening in 1 week. The stunt is that it is a trade route, and then they're saying that pirates have taken over some ships.
So you go and bomb the country.
Yeah, they bomb the ports. They bomb the bases of these pirates where they're based. That's their stance. There are pirates that are stopping trading from happening across that sea. So we are bombing them because we don't like that. That's their stance. So obviously you see how the West always portrays the op as like the terrorist or the pirates or whatever.
And never them. Like I have a reason why I did this. I have a reason.
The US, UK bombed Yemen. People are not happy about that. Yemen came out in protest like recently now, about over 400,000 people protesting against the US and the UK, and also to protest to free Palestine. But obviously the Western media has suppressed that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
We're seeing all of this on social media. We don't see this on TV, basically. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of like geopolitics going on. There's just a lot going on right now in the world. And I feel like emotions are really high.
Yes.
Emotions are really high because people have been witnessing this genocide, and the West has been for it because they support Israel, and then the rest of the world has been against it because they see all these videos circulating of children dying and people being desecrated and all this weird stuff that's been happening. So with that being said, with the emotions being this high, right? There is
we are a ticking time bomb.
There is a high possibility of a world war starting because everybody now has
and now everybody's involved.
Everybody's involved.
Yes.
Everybody has high emotions. Now the one thing that it's gonna take now is either for China or Russia just to get involved in like okay, Russia's in their own conflict right now, which is cool. The US is doesn't be a part of that right now. But if China get involved and try attack like Taiwan, because Taiwan is having an election year this year. So if China wants to take over Taiwan, this year will probably be a good year to do it. And if the US is like, no, we don't want that.
We don't want that.
A world war is gonna start. It could be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many.
Everybody's sensitive. Like everybody's, and I feel like yes, I know we've been talking about like World War III, but I feel like now we are really where everybody is like. If you step on one person's corn,
You're starting a war.
Like, and everybody has that. Yeah, you know.
If you do one thing wrong, Jay, trigger happy, you starting a war. That's where we are right now, 2024.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's like election year for a lot of these countries, including South Africa.
Hey.
The US
and
is also
a lot of people don't want to be losing power as well.
So there's going to be a lot of these things happening for various reasons.
Absolutely.
Just quickly, what do you say about the people that say that? I mean, those who go against Israel are going.
Rubbish.
What do you say to those people quickly?
I say rubbish.
Why?
That's it. Well, apart from the fact that I don't believe the current Israel is the biblical Israel, right?
That's a fair point.
Yes. Some people are doing that because they really think, like I'm talking about even that the regular, you know, the charismatic Christians and things like that are talking like that. But it's because they really believe that this is biblical Israel.
Yes.
My Bible commands me to stand with Israel. My Bible says to me, he who curses Israel is cursing himself. He who blesses Israel is blessing himself.
But my point is, whether or not you believe it or whatever, the point is people are willing to let Israel do whatever they want, even if it logically goes against God's own commandments, because it's Israel. How does that make sense?
No, that
Israel
should not make sense.
Israel can wipe out a whole population of people.
No,
because it's Israel.
No,
because they're the.
I don't think that's what even God was communicating about Israel in the Bible either. There was never a time where God was smiling with Israelites when they were doing atrocities or things like that. He would punish them and they'd suffer consequences. They'd suffer God's wrath. So even when they were disobedient to God and all of those things, okay, maybe the argument may be because when Moses was taking them out of Egypt, right, and then they encountered with the Amalek situation. Amalek were one of the people that were fighting the Israelites, right, and then there was a curse on Amalek, which that's why they justify doing the worst things to whom they deem Amalek. Even then, yes, in as much as God had punished Amalek, but he also punished the Israelites for their wrongs in the situation. So never, I don't think ever there is a time or ever will there be a time where God would justify wrongdoings of Israelites.
For me, I didn't believe, I couldn't rationalize how back in the day people were causing wars because of religion. Now that I'm seeing all of this play out and people's stances on mass murdering of people, now it's all making sense. Like people will choose their religion over morality, which is
which is also half the time it's a misunderstanding You know what I'm saying? Like, or a misinterpretation of like a scripture. Like, we can read the same thing, but you are getting something totally different from me. And that is why there are those people who will become extremists, and then the regular person who's like, wait, I don't understand why. Well, how are you viewing this like this?
I just wanted to bring up that point, get your opinion on that. But yeah, you guys just let us know what you think about everything that has been happening this past week in the ICTJ and also in the world. You guys let us know what you think about all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is quite an emotional one, I can tell you. So just let us know what you think.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, so we want your thoughts on everything. Yeah, so you guys just let us know, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
And keep watching. Goodbye.
We'll check you guys in the next one.
It is a matter of public record that South Africa enjoys close relations with Hamas, despite its formal recognition as a terrorist organization by numerous states across the world. These relations have continued unabated even after the October 7th atrocities. South Africa has long hosted and celebrated its ties with Hamas figures, including a senior Hamas delegation that, incredibly, visited the country for a, quote, solidarity gathering just weeks after the massacre.